Good morning. Welcome to the final chapel of this year. Let's celebrate that we are near the end. Yes. It has been a great year, and I'm so glad that you've joined us this morning to celebrate God's faithfulness this year, and especially to honor and celebrate our seniors, our graduating seniors. We're just really grateful that you are here. Before we get into our service, a few things I'd like to share. With finals week coming up, I want to make sure you're aware of our lounge, Campus Ministries Lounge. We're going to have snacks, food, and we can always offer some prayers for you if you're feeling stressed about finals. We are here for you, so make sure you check that out. Also, coffee to just sustain you through that week. All right, constant coffee. If you haven't yet, go in your calendar for next summer and block off these dates. If you have any interest at all in serving in an international mission trip, we know we have to look really far ahead for that and plan around internships and jobs. And so if you have any interest at all, just mark that off. We're going to have more information in the fall about what that'll look like, but we would really love to have a lot of our students and staff and faculty join us on some trips. Lastly, this is, we're coming to the end of my first year, Miranda's, where's Miranda? First 4 or 5 months, and this has been a new thing for us, and so we want to hear feedback. We are here to serve you students, and so we would love to know, what have you loved about chapel this year? What have you not loved? What speakers were your favorite? What topics would you hope we talk about and address in chapel? Do you want more music, less music? Any feedback is good feedback for us. And so as an incentive, if you fill out this feedback form, we've got a drawing for the Solo Stove Mesa. Anyone like to have a little bonfire in the backyard? Come on, yes. We love fire in Campus Ministries. I don't know why, but we are giving away, I think 2 of these, actually. So we're just going to take anyone who puts their email address, put it in a randomizer, and give you a Solo Stove. So, love to hear your feedback, even if you don't like fire. You're not a pyro like myself. Still love to hear your feedback. So make sure to do that. We're going to put this up at the end of chapel, so you can fill that out. All right. I invite you to stand. Turn to someone next to you, shake their hand, say, "It's been a great year."
They got the lights on behind the screen. I don't know. I could try to do that.
Great nothing you can't do. You're faithful and true. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Sing great, great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. I put my faith in him. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground. He's my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. Sing that again. Sing, I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground. He's my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground. He's my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. He will never let me down. Sing great, great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. In every season, from the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. Sing this out one more time. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. What gift of grace is Jesus?
Dear God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for this time we have to come together and to worship you, God. I just ask that you watch over all the students on this campus, God, as they finish up their finals, as they go to summer plans and beyond. And I just ask you watch over our seniors as we're finishing up part of our race here in college, and that we just get through these last few weeks, God, and that you're with us, and that we realize that you're with us and that we can reach out to you. And God, we sing all of this in your name. Amen.
Could we give it up for the worship team leading us? Sydney is a senior. That was great. Blessed. That was great. I'm really excited. This final chapel is a neat one because we invite seniors. We actually invite faculty and staff to nominate seniors to share their story, how they've encountered God, been transformed at their time at Friends. And so we're going to hear from 4 of them here in a bit. So our first student is named Bailey Waters. Would you welcome Bailey to the stage?
Hi, everyone. I'm Bailey. I'm from Colorado, and I play soccer here at Friends, for those of you that don't know me. We hear that it takes a village to raise a child, but what I wanted to tell you all today, and something that I think we forget, is that you need a village when you do this whole adulting thing even more. Behind me is a picture of my family, my first village. And the biggest lesson that I've learned in the past 4 years, and my advice to you all, is to find your own village and to root yourself in that. Growing up, it was instilled in me early on that community is critical to personal growth. A verse that really helped me with understanding this is Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. I've really tried to live by this throughout the years, and even though I had a lot of friends, I often struggled to find the people that were going to push me to be my best in my faith and other important areas of my life. My freshman year here at Friends, I wasn't sure if I would ever find the community that I dreamed of finding in college. My parents have this amazing group of people that are basically family to me that they met in college, so I just kind of assumed it would be easy to find that for myself, and I was disappointed when that didn't happen right away. I almost felt like I had failed to find the village that I was supposed to. Aside from COVID, my first 3 years at Friends were relatively stable. I played soccer, handled my schoolwork, took a few internships, and even though things in Wichita were fine, I found myself just constantly going back to Colorado to see the people that I still had there. I kept to myself at school and kept a small circle. And while I don't think there's anything wrong with a small circle, I realized I was not doing a good job of keeping an open mind to the community that's right here around me on campus. Fast forward to senior year, and for lack of better words, everything in my life fell apart. This past fall was probably the hardest season that I've ever gone through. I had multiple losses that I was grieving in my personal life, and those happened at the same time as tearing my ACL in my senior year and having a season-ending injury. So I struggled this past year with things that I've never really struggled with before, not only in my health, both physical and mental, but also in my faith. I know that it seems probably strange to tell you all this in the middle of a chapel on this campus, but I actually doubted God for the first time in my life as well. You see, I went to a Christian high school, and I'm a chaplain on the soccer team and a CSF student here, so I've always kind of been looked at as the Christian girl or a strong believer in my circles, but for the first time in my life, that felt like a facade last fall. And I tell you all this because looking back, I'm realizing that the only reason that I've even made it to this stage, fully believing in my Creator and Sustainer, is because of the people that God has placed around me. That village that I was worried about finding here at school has turned into a group of people that I will be very sad to leave. When all of this was happening, I quickly understood that the small steps that I was taking here were leading me to this time in my life. I've never truly needed a village as much as I did this past year, and I'm thankful that I had and continue to have one. I've found mentors here at school that lend me an ear and advice. I've found friends that have been there since freshman orientation and Friends experience, and people that I finally became close with my senior year, and I just can't imagine life before them. My point is, we may not know the timing of finding this village, but I can assure you that when you do, it is very, very special. What I've discovered in these relationships is that community here on earth gives us little glimpses of what heaven will be like and what God's character is. The village that you find doesn't need to be huge. I truly believe that God will provide no matter the size, but it is important to have community around you. In this season, I've been reminded of an aspect of God that I think we all tend to forget about, which is his friendship. He's not a punishing or an absent God. What I know to be true, what I see in the village he has blessed me with, and what I want to remind you all of today, is that God actively cares so deeply for all of you. In the same way that the people in my life have stood up for me, comforted me, taught me, and sharpened me, he does the same. So I hope that all of you find your village and get to see the glimpse of heaven that community has brought to me in my life. I encourage you to have an open mind about who those people might be, to actively trust in God's timing about both bringing people into your life and removing some from your life. I wish that I had done that earlier, but I know that if I had, then I wouldn't be here offering you this advice that I've found along the way. To find a good friend, you must first be a good friend, and never give up on searching for your village. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tucker Trevitt. What I'm going to spend my time with is telling you just a small little glimpse of my time here at Friends. So, I'm from Wichita, and I've known about Friends my whole life, but I never thought this was going to be the place that I was going to end up. Just like a lot of people, they probably think, oh, I'm going to move off, I'm going to find something better, or I'm going to start something new. And then some choices led to another, and then next thing I know, I'm here at Friends playing football, which is not what I planned to do at all. It's been quite the journey. I have had some pretty incredible experiences, but I've had some pretty incredible friendships that I've made along the way. So the first thing I want to talk about is some of the communities that I've been able to be a part of. One of the communities I've been able to be a part of is my football team. Any of these guys know? Yeah, that's my football team. No, any of the guys here that have been playing football know that there's a brotherhood when it comes to sports, and it has been one of the biggest foundations that I've had in my 4 years throughout here. I've had people to rely on, I've had people to go through times with, plenty of laughs, plenty of memories, and I'm beyond thankful for that because there's relationships I've made through that go way past the field, and that I know I'll have for the rest of my life. But in addition to that, I've also had friendships like my RA team. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of this staff this past year, and I've been able to make really real, intentional, deep relationships with these people. And I could probably get to the point of crying, but they've been an incredible group, and I am beyond thankful for them. In addition to that, the year before, I was a part of the SLA team. Yeah. The SLA team, man, it was so encouraging to be around people that are just as weird as I am, trying to tell people about the good news that we've had. And it was just a huge time for me to really reflect on why I'm here and what I'm doing. But in addition to my community, I've also learned a lot about my vocation and what I plan on doing with my life, or at least what I think I'm decent at. So right up there, that's my wrestling team that I coach. I've learned throughout this time, because I've stayed home here in Friends, I've been able to be in my community a lot more than I would have been if I would have left. So I've been able to be a high school wrestling coach the last few years, and it's been incredible. I realize that I have a decent act for coaching and teaching, but I'm really good at forming the relationships with them, and I enjoy watching them grow and get better at something that I love. But in addition to this, I've learned that this age group in high school is something I've been very passionate about reaching. I've spent the last 4 years also working as Young Life staff and being a part of a Young Life team. And if you don't know what that is, it's pretty much an outreach to tell kids in high school about Jesus. And through that, I've just learned that there's nothing else I'd want to be doing. It's what makes me smile when I wake up in the morning, when I get those texts, when I see that, when I see transformation taking place in people's lives. And which has led me ultimately to next year I will be the director of youth ministry at Chapel Hill Church. And I wouldn't have learned those things about myself, I don't think, unless I was in the communities here that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of. And then finally, that's my Young Life group. Sorry. They're studs. And then the last slide. These last 4 years have been deeply, deeply impactful in my life. And I'd say, all right, never mind, we're good. I'm not gonna, I was close there for a second. But I've been in Christian schools my whole life. So I took the CSF program here just because that's what was normal to me. And I didn't expect to be changed the way I was. I wasn't expecting to meet professors, students that truly cared about me and showed me a side of Jesus that I had never met before. And that has impacted me so deeply. Like I said, that's why I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I've just been so encouraged, like I said, that there's other weirdos like me that go here. So thank you, and that's what I have to share.
Hi, guys. So my name is Faith, and I have had the pleasure of being here for the last 2.5 years as a transfer student. Don't worry, my whole talk will not revolve around the Faith at Friends class, or I guess Good Life as it's now known. I just wanted to share with you something that I have been learning throughout my time and will continue to learn as I graduate and go on to do whatever God has called me to do later. So a little bit of background. I am a huge homebody. My favorite place to be is at home. I don't have a cat, but with a cat and with tea and a book. And so that is where I thrive. When I go out and be with people, I kind of go and have this like performance mindset where I'm like, oh yes, I need to have it all together. I don't want anybody to know that I'm a human being that makes mistakes, you know. So there's like no in between me going and being a homebody and hiding, and then me being out with people and, I don't know, having the performance mindset on. But God is ironic and has a sense of humor. So I am a missionary kid, and I grew up all over the place. I was born in Colorado, and then my parents moved to Germany when I was 6, and now they're in Northern Ireland. So how, do you ask, is a homebody someone who doesn't have a physical home? I am very stubborn about that, so I figured out that I can have a home that moves with me. So my 3 homes, I consider them, are Jesus, my family, and music, because those are things that I can take with me wherever I go. And so those are things that are very close to my heart, and those are things I consider to be my home. So before I went to Friends, I moved about 6 times. I went to college, I came home, and then COVID hit, and then my parents were like, yeah, let's move to Northern Ireland. And then I found Friends and came here. So throughout that entire crazy, chaotic situation, I started at Friends, very exhausted and very weak. And it was a difficult thing to come into Friends and be like, yeah, I have it all together, you know? So when I did come to Friends, are there any mid-year transfers in the room here? I don't know if it was just COVID, but my orientation was a 2-hour intro into Moodle, and that was it. I was like, what is going on? But hey, now I know all about Moodle. That said, it was very disorienting to be in a new place, in a new state. Sometimes America is a little unfamiliar to me just because of where I had grown up. So it was really crazy coming to Friends. And so I was like, okay, I need to go find my home because I'm a homebody. So I went into studying music, and I didn't have my family nearby, but I did have Jesus. However, since I had come to Friends and God called me there, it felt a little bit confusing because I was like, why would God lead me here in my weakness and in my exhaustion? Like, why is he doing that? So I wrestled a lot with why he brought me there. And he, at that point in time, didn't feel very much like a home to me because, yeah, I couldn't run and hide when I was in a place that like wasn't necessarily my home yet. So music. I had music. So I kind of ran into the performance side of things because I liked to have it all together. And I was like, great, I can actually learn lines, I can learn notes, and then I can practice those and memorize those and do those perfectly. And that is what I tried to do. But God, having a sense of humor, was like, great. So all of these performance opportunities, I can show you that like weakness is not a bad thing. And he was able to teach me in those things that I was trying to hide from what he wanted to share. And this verse is what he wanted to share with me. 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you, for my powers are made perfect in weakness. So God was teaching me that life isn't a performance like I thought it was. I don't have to go and hide at home all of the time. Even when I'm confused, I'm allowed to be confused in front of other people. I'm allowed to make mistakes in front of other people. I'm allowed to ramble in front of other people, and that's okay. One of the big ways that he taught me that was this last year, my senior year. I had 14 credits left, and they needed to be spread out across 2 semesters. And I was like, what do I do with all of this time? And he was like, I know what you can do with it. So I was able to commit my free time to him and to the relationships that I had been building over my time here at Friends. And he was able to teach me really incredible things. He taught me that the worst isn't that bad. And the worst for me was going out and being in front of people and then making a fool of myself or feeling weak and not having it all together. So he was showing me that those mistakes and those weaknesses can actually be really great memories with people. One of the big ways that I was able to learn that was this last weekend, actually. I don't know if any of you guys went to Symphony of Spring. The Singing Quakers do a variety show. It's so fun. Y'all should go next year when they have another one. But I was able to, as a senior, make a senior speech. And basically that's being able to encourage people, and that's being able to basically just share what's on your heart, and kind of open yourself up to the time kind of like this, the time that you've had at Friends while being a singing Quaker. And at first, I didn't want to make the speech. I was like, no, I'm not going to. And then I realized why, and it was because I didn't want to be vulnerable in front of people. I didn't want to look like, yes, this is grieving. This is my senior year. There are difficult things going on. And God was like, remember what I've been teaching you while you've been here? And so I was able to go and be vulnerable in front of people and share them how much they meant to me and be able to cry a little bit. And that was just a really special experience to realize, okay, in my weakness, God is sufficient. His power is made perfect in that weakness. So it was so unexpected, but God was right. And I wouldn't have learned that without the crazy amount of moving and the crazy amount of just random, confusing, weak moments when I went out with people and just, had the worst day. He was able to show me that, like, his power is made perfect in my weakness, and his love is sufficient for me. So, yes. I also was really impacted by the verse, Psalm 46:10a, be still and know that I am God. Even when things are confusing and I was exhausted, he was able to help me be still and to know who he is and that he's enough in that situation. Anyways, that was kind of a long tangent ramble, but I hope you guys were able to hear what God had been teaching me, and I pray that the same thing can be taught to you while you are here at Friends. Grace and peace to you. Thank you.
I'm not texting. I'm just, notes. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Becker. Hey, so my name is Josiah Bolton. Gosh, it's been a long 4 years. It's been a fun 4 years. And I'll just go ahead and start by showing this first picture, which is not at Friends University. Most of you will notice that that is actually Gus the Gorilla from Pittsburgh State University. Those of you that don't know, my parents both graduated from, not Friends, Pittsburgh. And so if you would have asked me 4.5 years ago, where are you going to go to school at in the fall of 2019, it was Pittsburgh State University. I had it planned out, okay? They were going to get a new business department, and to this day, they still don't have a new business department, so that might have been my sign from God, right? But I was going to go get a business degree. I was going to go walk onto the track team, and then I was just going to get my 4 years out of the way and go somewhere. I don't know where. That was the plan. And so I'm sitting there. I was like, okay, Dad, this is it. Mom, I'm going to go. And then all of a sudden, a cross-country coach by the name of Jason Parr calls me and says, hey, come visit Friends University. I'm from I'm from Ellsworth, Kansas, about 2 hours north, and I had no idea Friends existed until, 2019 in the January of it. So I showed up, and lo and behold, I had an awesome 2019 year. It was one of the best years of my life. I was going strong in anything. I tried everything. I got a job with Res Life. Hey, Res Life. I was, good at running track and cross country. I was enjoying life to the fullest. Had positions in student government. I had a little bit of too much, actually. I met some of my best friends here. And so this entire story of going through Friends University for me is a story of trial, error, and then resetting and going again. It's a story of mountains and valleys. And if you've ever been hiking through a mountain, a lot of times, you're not just going from valley to summit. You are going valley to hill to valley to summit, and then you got to go all the way back and do it again, right? We have all this great freshman year, and then all of a sudden COVID hit. And then that's when I realized, this is a good picture. It's a good story. That's when I realized that there was a lot that I still had left actually to do outside of college. So one of the cool parts was a valley going in where we all were separated, of course. It's been 3 years now, and it was actually a callback to my faith. See, the biggest thing that you probably have noticed was my freshman year. I mentioned everything except for one word, which was God. I didn't have God in my life. I mean, he was there, but I was in an FCA. I was leading it. I was, going to church, but he wasn't there. And so these three guys and me on the hood of this 1960s Jeep, these are some of my three best friends from high school. So you'll notice, if you guys know Mike, he's my twin brother. He doesn't have a beard in this picture, but he's on the right, and then I got Caden and Dave upside down. And these guys, we were out on Dave's farm, his parents' farm, for literal months in 2020. And that's where I reset my faith. That's where I figured out, okay, my calling isn't in doing whatever I want to do, but it's now in God. And so from there, I was like, I'm going to go in next year, and I'm going to be the best Christian ever. And then of course, we go into 2021, and I get caught up in track. So track and field, it's still a big part of my life, obviously. It's one of those things where I'm like, dude, I want to go and be the best. And all of a sudden, my vision got diverted once again from God to track and field. It got diverted from God to Res Life. Hi, Res Life. I was in RA. It got diverted from God onto other stuff once again. And God has this funny way of resetting. Also, blonde Josiah. Who remembers that? So this guy has a funny way of resetting once again to all of a sudden this guy who was supposed to go to nationals my sophomore year, and I clipped a barrier on steeple on that race that we just saw, and it actually led me to go and make a relationship with people at a place called Westminster Woods, which is really near and dear to my heart. From this, these are a couple of the guys. I lost a game of odds, dyed my hair blonde, but more importantly, I figured out where my place was that I kept saying the right things, but I wasn't actually putting it into action. I kept going through the fire, but all I would do was just come back out before the heat got too intense. And so these guys at Westminster Woods, and all of a sudden the people that surrounded me, I had to redivert my attention away from what I was doing and put it with who I was doing it with. And it's culminating into success in track, but more importantly, it's culminating into relationships that I now have with lifelong best friends, that I now have with people along the way that have coached me, that have taught me, that have led me. Go ahead, yeah. It's led me to understand that even in sorrow, so by the way, this isn't the first time I've worn a boot, but it's led me into understanding that even in the deep sorrow of failure, even in the deep sorrow of the valleys of life, it's led me to find that there is hope, that there is places to rise up, because it's not about the thing that you do, it's about the people around you. It's about the brotherhood that I've made in cross country and track more than it's about the accolades in track. It's about the people that I've met at the school more than the classes that I took. It's more about the changing my perspective on how life is to be lived rather than seeing it through my own lens all the time. And so from this, I've gained many, many friends over the years. It's been a fun 4 years, and reminiscing on it, I couldn't help but, of course, put my family in this as well. But this overwhelming love and support of everybody, from my family directly to my extended family with everybody in this room and beyond this walls and out in my community, it's been amazing just to see where I've been, where I am now, and then where I'm going to go in the future. The biggest thing that I think God has taught me within these last 4 years, once again, comes through the trials of life. So the verse that I wanted to share with you is James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. And it's saying this: "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of any various kind. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and the steadfastness having its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing." And so it's talking about how the endurance of our faith and the endurance of our life isn't measured in the sense that we're going to go to where we want to go, but that God's going to carry us even through the valleys of life. And even when we're on the hilltop, He'll still be carrying us. And that when we have that steadfastness on the hilltop and on the mountaintop, we can carry it through all the way through our lives. And so I think that the biggest thing that I'm going to miss about Friends University isn't the time spent trying to chase the next big thing, trying to chase and find what's next in career, or even, standing up here talking to people. It's going to be talking to people on the ground. That's going to be having those relationships that I know that I can lean on each and every day, even when I'm not at Friends. And before I tear up, Tucker, I think that the best way is to kind of just look towards the future here. One other thing, if you don't know me, I'm very big into Chick-fil-A, so thank you, Friends University Business Department, for letting me go pick up Chick-fil-A. I got a lot of points from that. Anyway, So, by the way, you're also seeing these before my mom, so good job, guys. You're pretty special. So, I think that the future is an interesting thing. For me, I'm actually going to go work for Young Life, where Tucker was talking about earlier. So the mission and outreach that I've found on my life through the discernment of people in this room and people outside of this room is that I have a mission to go and spread the gospel. Right now, it looks like Young Life. In 5-10 years, who knows where it's going to take me. But that's the biggest thing about our life, is that we all have a calling into something so much greater. And that you're in the valley of your life, or you're in a high point, your goal in life shouldn't be just to get to the next big thing. It should be understanding where you are and whose you are. And from there, just going and spreading the gospel in your everyday life. Doesn't matter if you're, the president of a university. Hi, Dr. Carey. Doesn't matter if you're a chaplain. Doesn't matter if you're an electric guitar player, if you're a soccer player, if you're just a student. You have a story to tell. And I think the most beautiful thing is that Friends University offers is your story. You are so unique and so loved that I don't think you understand how loved you are. And from that, how can you love others each and every day of your life? It doesn't have to be, all close and up and, with everybody, buddy with everybody. But it could just be saying hi to somebody in the hall. It could just be outreaching to people around you. How can you love somebody as you tell your story through Friends University and through your life? So that's what I learned in 4 years. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, students, for sharing your story. Your stories, that was powerful, and we really, really appreciate it. In this last chapel, we do want to take a minute to recognize a few people that have contributed to this space, to campus ministries, just the atmosphere in general at Friends. And so, first of all, SLAs, would you stand? Come to the front real quick. Give it up for the SLAs, our spiritual life assistants. They have poured into this campus through connecting with people in their dorms. They've hosted Bible studies and prayer nights and worship nights and all sorts of other things. And so we really, really appreciate what you've done. We have 3 that are graduating, but we have 4 returning next year, plus another 6 for next year. So we're excited about the future. But one more time, let's celebrate our SLAs. Thank you. You guys can have a seat. We also wanted to celebrate our lounge workers. If you work in the Campus Ministries lounge, you have made one of the hundreds of thousands of pots of coffee that we go through in the lounge. Do we have any lounge workers here? Come on, grab a card real quick. Thank you for your work. Appreciate you. Now, to make chapel happen, there are 2 guys that stand up there. Everyone turn around, wave to Bob and Phil. Probably the most underappreciated people are the tech people. We appreciate you, everything you've done to help set up sound, to run lights, to run live stream. Thank you, Bob and Phil. We've got a card for you. As well as Guy Shimleski, Donna Crenshaw. Would you stand up and wave? Guy's the dean of campus ministries. Is Donna here? Donna helped me in my first semester make sure all of my speakers got to chapel by getting their hotel arrangements and flights, and if it weren't for her, they wouldn't have shown up. So I appreciate that. Guy, you've been really helpful in coaching me through this first year. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Phil, who's been our worship coordinator, and he's just going to shout out the worship team. So give it up for Phil.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys have helped at all with the music in chapel, would you stand up? Stand up. There's several here, several who aren't here, but these guys have plugged in, gave a lot of time, gave a lot of effort. We just made some great strides over this past year. So can you honor them for what they've done? So, thank you so much for all that you guys have done.
We also want to take a second to show our appreciation for Phil, and somewhat bittersweet, we are announcing that Phil has accepted a call to a pastor job in Kansas City, and so this will be his last year with us. He's done a phenomenal job of pouring into our students, helping lead in like every instrument on stage. He really blessed us, and we're going to be just praying for you as you go, and we just want to say thank you. So would you show your appreciation for Phil, and make sure to shake his hand as we go. Woo! All right. I think that was everything, right, Miranda? Okay. Oh, for the speakers, yes, we've got gifts. So senior speakers, make sure you see us. Final thing, any senior in the room, please stand. If you're graduating here this semester or you're even in the fall, yeah, give it up for our seniors. Let me just say a blessing for you as we close. Stay standing. Lord, we thank you for the seniors. We thank you for the way you've worked in their lives. We thank you for their testimonies. God, we just pray your faithfulness, your favor over them. We pray a blessing over them as they go on in their next adventure in life. We thank you for their time at Friends, and we just pray a blessing over them. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Thank you so much for a great year of chapel. Blessings as you finish the semester strong. Go in peace.